He delivered the mail for 17 years, then vanished with $9 million in cash. You're watching Dark Case Files. Real stories, chilling twists. Subscribe for more. His name was Dennis Hale, 53 years old, quiet, reliable, a Vietnam veteran, a grandfather of two, and a U.S. postal worker in Jacksonville, Florida. He started before sunrise every morning. Co-workers called him the clock. Never late, never absent, always wore the same Navy jacket. His daughter said he was the kind of man you don't worry about. But in June of 2012, that all changed. And the man no one suspected simply vanished. June 18th, 2012. Dennis clocked in at 6:02 a.m. His route included 3 special cash deliveries. Total value, $9.3 million. He signed out the sealed pouches, loaded them into his van, and hit the road. At 8:13 a.m., security footage showed him at a federal courthouse. Then nothing. By 9:45 a.m., his mail van was found, parked behind a strip mall, locked, empty. No Dennis, no cash, no sign of struggle. Police feared a carjacking, or worse, but Dennis never made contact, and suspicion started to grow. The FBI took over the case. There were no fingerprints, no forced entry, no blood, no struggle. 2 nearby surveillance cameras had been cut, wires sliced manually just the night before. Agents questioned his wife. She said he kissed her goodbye that morning. Nothing seemed different. His daughter recalled him joking about retiring in Belize. They never thought he meant it. But then, an old Army buddy came forward. He said Dennis once told him, "If I ever disappear, it's because I wanted to." Investigators checked his bank records. No big transactions, no flights, just $17 in his account. But a burner phone registered in Atlanta led to a private boat booking under Dennis's social security number 3 days before he vanished. Then came the twist. Inside a rented storage unit, agents found blueprints, cash route maps, fake IDs. One had his photo, but the name Carlos Vega. Finally, an anonymous tip claimed Dennis was seen in Belize, running a fishing tour business, using a different name. But by the time police arrived, he was gone. No sign of him, no sign of the money, and no confirmation from the FBI. Today, Dennis Hale remains on the FBI's most wanted list, accused of embezzling federal property and orchestrating one of the largest internal thefts in U.S. mail history. His family hasn't spoken publicly in over a decade. His former co-workers still can't believe it. "That man delivered medicine and birthday cards," one said. But behind the smile, he was planning an escape. For over a decade, Dennis Hale remained a ghost. No bank trail, no digital footprint, no confirmed sighting. Until January 2023, a man named Robert Keys walked into a bank in Costa Rica. He was calm, wearing sunglasses, and trying to open a business account with a U.S. passport under the name James H. Lee. The teller scanned the ID, but something felt off. The birth date matched a known federal fugitive, and the face, though older with a beard, looked almost identical to Dennis Hale. The bank manager contacted local authorities, but by the time police arrived, the man was gone. Security footage showed him leaving in a white Toyota SUV, with no plates, just minutes before they got there. That footage was sent to the FBI, and within 48 hours, they confirmed. It was him. Same facial structure, same ears, same scar on the chin from a 1992 dog bite. The U.S. issued a fresh international warrant, but the trail went cold again, until 2 months later, a burned boat washed ashore in Panama. Inside, a melted satellite phone and a lockbox, still intact. Inside the lockbox was a map of Belize's barrier reef, a second passport under the name Carlos Vega, and a sealed envelope. The FBI has not disclosed what was written inside, but sources say it was a letter addressed to a woman in Florida, signed simply D. The envelope recovered in Panama was addressed to a woman named Janine Hale, Dennis's daughter. She hadn't spoken publicly since 2012. Until now, the FBI knocked on her door in Gainesville, Florida. She answered with tears in her eyes and said just one thing. He promised he'd only be gone 5 years. Janine claimed she thought her father was dead, but admitted he left a package for her months before he vanished. Inside were instructions, names, and a small silver key. She never opened the lockbox it belonged to, out of fear. But now, with the FBI present, she finally did. The key fit a rusted trunk stored in her garage. Inside was a stack of documents. A satellite photo of a remote island near Roatan, Honduras. Several names were circled, and one sentence was scribbled in black marker. "If they find me, burn this." Among the files was something else. A USB drive, password protected, and labeled simply, June 18th. The FBI decrypted it within hours. What they found was chilling. A full audio recording from the morning Dennis vanished. It wasn't a man in panic. It wasn't fear. It was a coordinated plan, with at least 2 other voices. Dennis said, "By the time they see this van, I'll be in the water." Another man replied, "You'll never come back after this." Dennis answered, "I'm not supposed to." But here's the real twist. The voice of the second man was confirmed by voice print analysis. It matched a former U.S. postal supervisor who died in 2016. After decrypting the USB drive, the FBI focused on the third voice. Unidentified, male, American accent, and calm. Too calm for someone part of federal theft. The voice said, "Once you're clear, I'll handle Miami." What did that mean? And why was Miami mentioned? When Dennis disappeared from Jacksonville, the FBI pulled old employee logs, looking for anyone with postal clearance in both cities. One name came up, Elliot Ford, retired in 2009, former route security officer, and Dennis Hale's former roommate in the Army. Ford was never investigated back then, because he'd moved to the Cayman Islands before the crime took place. Or so they thought. Turns out, he only claimed to move. Border control data showed no record of him flying out. But bank records revealed something different. In the summer of 2012, $250,000 was wired to a Cayman-based account from a shell company, registered to a man named Carlos Vega, the same alias Dennis used. FBI agents tracked down a woman who briefly dated Elliot Ford in 2011. She said he talked about a clean escape plan, one that required 3 people: the runner, the tech, and the ghost. Dennis was the runner. Elliot was the ghost. But the tech? Still unknown. Until May 2025, when a man in Belize walked into a cyber cafe and tried to reset an encrypted laptop. He used the name Sean Redmond, a name that had appeared once on the map found in Janine's garage. Authorities couldn't make the arrest in time, but they got access to the computer. Inside were flight logs, 3 different passport scans, and a surveillance photo. It showed Dennis Hale, no beard, shorter hair, wearing a light blue shirt, and boarding a private plane in Venezuela. Destination, unknown, but on the edge of the screen, barely visible, was a date, July 2nd, 2025, 2 weeks ago. That means Dennis Hale is still alive, still moving, and still ahead of the FBI. Until now, the story of Dennis Hale was theft and escape. But in May 2025, things took a dark, violent turn. A fisherman named Luis Martinez disappeared in Panama. Local police found his boat capsized. No blood, no body, no struggle, just an empty cooler and a missing passport. That passport resurfaced 2 months later on a hard drive belonging to Dennis Hale's accomplice. It was scanned into a fake ID generator, meaning someone had assumed Luis's identity. After he vanished, Interpol flagged it, and now the Hale case is no longer just financial fraud. It's suspected homicide. Authorities believe Hale may be eliminating anyone who helps him, then using their identities to keep running. A pattern is emerging. Every time the FBI gets close, someone nearby disappears. It happened again in Colombia. A private pilot named Victor Rojas vanished after flying a man to Guyana. That man matched Hale's new look: gray beard, limp in the left leg. Victor's last message was a text to his wife. "This guy paid double. Says it's urgent. See you tomorrow." He never came home. His plane was later found abandoned at a sugarcane airstrip, with no flight logs, no fingerprints. But once again, a name linked to Dennis, Carlos Vega. By June 2025, the FBI created a new profile for Dennis Hale. They now call him a transnational fugitive, believed to be armed, highly strategic, and possibly willing to kill to stay hidden. But the most disturbing detail came from a U.S. Marshal working the case. She said, "Every time we get close, we lose someone." Then came the final twist. An anonymous call placed from a satellite phone off the coast of Aruba. The voice was calm and familiar. It simply said, "He's not hiding anymore. He's preparing." Click. Investigators traced the call to a private yacht, registered under yet another shell company. But the yacht had already left port, headed toward West Africa. After the anonymous call traced to a yacht near Aruba, federal agents thought Dennis Hale might finally slip up. They monitored ports across the Caribbean, tracked shell companies, flagged international passport activity. And then one hit came from Senegal. A customs officer reported a man entering with a U.S. passport, wearing sunglasses at night. The passport was fake, but the name? Victor Rojas, the pilot who disappeared. Interpol moved fast, but by the time they arrived, he was already gone. Again, but this time, he didn't leave alone. Security footage showed two other men disembarking with him, one matching the description of Elliot Ford, the ghost in Hale's original escape plan. The third man, still unidentified, but heavily built, military posture, possibly ex-military or private security. Inside their abandoned vehicle, agents found a burner phone. On it, a single message, never sent. Phase 3 is ready. Was Phase 3? And who's involved? Federal analysts now believe Dennis Hale has shifted from survival to strategy. Bank wires in Ghana, land purchased in Sierra Leone, a compound built with no official records, armed guards, no cameras allowed. One local described the area as foreign men with money who don't want neighbors. Another said they only come to town for fuel, medicine, and satellite parts. When asked if they'd seen Dennis Hale, one fisherman answered, "No, but their boss? He's American, always watching." Then came the most disturbing find yet. A drone flew over the compound, capturing 5 men in tactical gear, and one woman, blindfolded, handbound, escorted into a dark building and never seen again. Is Dennis Hale just hiding? Or is he building a criminal operation? Interpol has now classified his movement as a Tier 1 organized threat, and U.S. Marshals say if they don't act soon, he could disappear forever. Because last week, a private American investigator, hired by the family of one of the missing men, went looking for answers. He crossed into Sierra Leone without backup. And last night, the FBI received a video from his phone. Just 2 words were spoken. "He found me." Then the screen cut to black. The private investigator's phone arrived in a plain brown envelope. No return address, no postage stamp, just the word "stop." Inside was the phone. Cracked screen, battery removed. But the last recorded video played. It showed the investigator in a dimly lit room. He was whispering, sweating, looking behind him as he spoke. His final words were, "It's not just Dennis. Someone else is pulling the strings." Then came a sound, a metallic door creaking open, a hand reaching toward the camera, and static. Forensics confirmed the location. An outbuilding 40 miles outside Freetown, Sierra Leone. One of the compounds tied to Hale's shell companies. But the building was gone, burned to the ground. 2 days later, no bodies were found, no survivors, and no sign of Dennis Hale. But agents recovered something nearby, a scorched notebook with only 2 legible phrases. Phase 4, acquisition begins. And beneath that, list Redmond for Janine. Janine, his daughter, still living in Florida, still denying she knows where her father is. The FBI placed her under protection, but 3 days later, she vanished. No forced entry, no struggle, just a single note left on her kitchen counter. He promised we'd leave together. The question now isn't if she helped Dennis. It's how much she already knew. The FBI believes Janine may have been helping her father escape for years, using her clean record, her tech job, and her silence to move encrypted files and send coded messages abroad. Now, she's missing, and her phone last pinged 40 miles from a private airstrip in Honduras. But here's the real twist. Surveillance shows a plane leaving that same airstrip, with 7 people aboard, but only 6 registered passengers. Who was the 7th? The plane left Honduras at 4:42 a.m. Its manifest listed 6 passengers, but video showed 7 boarding. The 7th never looked up. Baseball cap, dark hoodie, and a backpack clutched tight to the chest. Interpol flagged the plane, tracked its path toward Mali, West Africa, a remote landing strip. 1 exit road. Agents were already waiting, but by the time the jet touched down, the 7th passenger had already vanished, gone through a service hatch beneath the plane, gone like her father taught her. But this time, the FBI was ready. For weeks, they had traced old offshore accounts, blocked crypto wallets, intercepted burner calls, and finally, they found the vault. Not a bank, not a hiding place, but a server, hidden inside an abandoned copper mine in northern Ghana. It stored every transaction Dennis made, every name, every ID, every accomplice, and one more thing, a goodbye video. Dennis appeared on screen, older, thinner, eyes colder. He said, "They think this is about money, but it was never about money. It was about disappearing from a country that didn't care if I died poor. So I made them watch me vanish." Then came a final line. "If you're seeing this, I'm already gone." But Janine, she knows what to do next. The FBI used the server to arrest 3 men in Europe, 2 in Dubai, and 1 former U.S. contractor in South Africa. They shut down a global identity fraud ring worth over $47 million. But Dennis Hale was never found. No confirmed death, no body, just whispers and sightings that never check out. Janine hasn't been seen since July 14th, 2025. Interpol believes she used one of her father's identities and walked off the grid completely. Some say she was brainwashed. Others say she was the real mastermind all along. But one thing is clear. The man who started as a mailman became a ghost, then built an empire, and in the end, vanished into legend. The perfect crime isn't the one they never solve. It's the one they never believe really happened. Thank you for watching Dark Case Files. Stay alert, stay suspicious, and never assume the quiet ones aren't planning something big. Subscribe.